Good evening and welcome back to episode 11 of Pipe and Tobacco Talk. I'm Jim Ed McBob, and as always with me, Tim from PapaBear's Pipes. Tim, read them the disclaimer so they know what they're getting into.
Warning. This podcast will expose the listener to offensive, insensitive, off-putting, and otherwise socially unacceptable content known to the state of California to cause cancer. To avoid injury, the sponsors of this podcast suggest you get a helmet or grow a fucking pair. There you have it.
No way, Tim. Perfect. I'll tell you, it's an exciting episode for us tonight because we have this spectacular artist, Eric from EMC Custom Cobs, joining us tonight. Eric, welcome to the Pipe and Tobacco Talk podcast. How are you this evening?
Not too bad. No complaints.
All right. Excellent. A quick bit of housekeeping before we jump right into the interview. We've got several interviews set up for the next couple of weeks, and we're very excited. Also, next week, Mitchell from MBSD Pipes is going to be on with us, and we're going to do a 7LE626 Christmas 2023 pipe giveaway, and the winner has to send us the best dad joke. That's the contest rules. You gotta send us a dad joke, and Tim and Mitchell and I will judge the dad jokes and select a winner. We'll post it on Instagram. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll get it out there. Gotta send us a dad joke. That's the deal.
You gotta.
Secondly, the week
you can send
after that.
Go ahead, please.
No, Tim. Come on now.
Well, I was just letting everybody know.
I'm going to start drinking now, Tim.
If they please do. If they can send them via Instagram. You can send them by direct message to either Mr. Jim here, or you can send them to me, and you can also email them. So if you want to email a dad joke, best thing to do would be just go to my website, www.pbhbp.com, and go to the contact us button and type it in there, and we'll get it.
All right. Let's talk to Eric from EMC Custom Cobs and find out what's going on in his website, in his shop. Now, so that y'all know, Eric recently, it's been 12 weeks since you tore the muscle in your arm?
13. This is week 13.
Week 13. And you're not quite back to full strength yet. You've still got a little weakness in the elbow. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's going to take a while.
All right. Well, the hell of getting old. Just so that you know, kids, if you're scoring at home or if you're alone, the older you get, the longer it takes to heal from stuff. Tim and I, our injuries get longer and longer, and it's just not anything we recommend to anyone. So
wake up most
please
mornings,
try to stay inert.
Hurt.
I enjoy getting out of bed sounding like a bowl of Rice Krispies myself. Just everything snapping and crackling and popping.
Yep.
It's pretty magical.
Another sleep-related injury.
Yeah, exactly. I was breathing too hard. All right. So, Eric, what is new in your shop? What are you working on currently?
Currently? Actually, I'm just trying to play catch-up on commissions, honestly. I mean, I got one on the bench now that I think will be pretty awesome. But it has copper infused, carbon fiber in the shank. The stem is a purple Juma. It should be pretty awesome. It is, in fact, pipe number 1700. So that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm.
You are flying right along because sitting...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, you're flying right along because I have pipe 1000 sitting here in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. You do. Hell, if I drag your commission out
Yep.
long enough, it might be pipe 2000.
There's no rush. There is, you can't rush craftsmanship. So tell us how you got started in modifying cobs and making pipes. What brought you into this sphere?
Honestly, it started. I had back in late 18. I had ordered a custom cob off some jackass on Facebook. I don't remember his name, and I got it and smoked it once and immediately fell apart. It's like, well, that's awesome. I think I can do better. And so I bought some bowls and I started basically hand shaping everything. I didn't have a lathe. I had a drill press. That was all I had. So everything was hand shaped, drilled out on a drill press and whatnot. And I made a few, sent them out to guys that, I knew wouldn't bullshit me. And they were like, well, it's ugly as hell. The finish is shit, but damn, this thing smokes. So I worked on my finish work and whatnot. And, sent out a couple more. And guys were like, hey, your finish work doesn't suck quite as bad. Damn, they still smoke. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. So just over time, of course, investing in equipment, investing in sandpaper. Believe it or not, that's probably the biggest investment that any pipe maker should make. These assholes that spend $2,000 on fucking merchandise and they don't want to spend $500 on sandpaper, and it shows. But that's where, that's just.
So if you had to pick a style of cob to modify, which one resonates the most with you?
Honestly, I like the tall diplomat or that style. I think it has the most versatility, in my opinion. You could shorten it if you want. Of course, the height, everybody likes a chimney style pipe. A lot of my bowls are lathe turned, so oftentimes people are like, well, I thought that was a legend. Well, not really. It's just a lathe turned bowl. It just looks like a legend because that's a really easy shape. So there's that. My second favorite is probably the Apple Diplomat. Back in early 2020, I did a couple of 320, Savinelli 320 inspired authors, which I actually probably ought to do one of those again just for the hell of it. That's probably my second favorite shape. Again, it has a ton of versatility. You can make an author with it. You could make a really big ants if you wanted to. You could shorten the bowl up a little bit and make a nice pot shape. So those are probably my two favorites.
Okay. Excellent. Now, because I have a collection of your pipes,
yeah.
How often do you get inspiration for the stumbles you put on? I mean, what's the main inspiration? Because I'm looking at because I have your collection, and here in a minute I'm going to start showing them while you're talking so people can see some of your work. And I'll start with the first one I got from you and work my way to the last one that I got from you.
Okay.
There's not one stumble of the 10 that I have that are the same. They're all different. They're all interesting. They're all unique. How do you come up with the styles for those?
Well, basically, in a nutshell, I walk in my shop every morning. I look at my material and say, wonder what I can do with that.
All right.
Every now and again, I'll draw something out.
Tim, what kind of questions do you want to ask?
Pertaining to?
Finish, Eric.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I usually don't really have a plan. Sometimes I'll sketch something out, Mostly though, there's no plan. It's just kind of I open up one of my drawers, whether it's my ebonite and Juma drawer or if it's my resin drawer. I just kind of look at the materials. I'll open up my accent drawer and just kind of find, well, I think that might look cool, and that's basically how I build a pipe.
So if Eric, there was a pipe Jim
Yes, sir.
showed last week that has a blue stem on it. Do you have that one in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
Jim? That I was real intrigued with the shank on that. Um, what? Now, not the adornment, but the shank itself. That looks like it's got. Yeah, right there. It looks like a honeycomb or a beehive type of a pattern from here. What is that material? That's really cool.
Juma. That's Juma.
Oh, that's Juma. Okay. It,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Go ahead.
And what is that specifically? I'm not familiar with it.
It's really Neil Monnier, garage made pipe. He used to use a lot of it. Basically, it is a resin that is really, really popular in the knife makers world. It hasn't translated so much to the pipe making world. I'm not sure. I know it's a resin. I'm not sure how the resin's made. I know it's perfectly safe, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
But is it cast? It's a casting.
it's a pour. So it's a pour, and how
Oh,
they
I see. Okay.
like the
Okay.
snakeskin Juma is, and I'm probably slightly off, but from my understanding, they use cloth, like a mesh cloth, for whatever design they want. They'll put it in the bottom of the
Okay.
block that they're pouring,
Uh,
and as they pull it up, because of the way it hardens, it actually gives you that snakeskin texture. The honeycomb is the same.
I see.
The
Okay.
swirls, they
Interesting.
typically do just like a regular swirl, like you would if you were casting your own Alumilite type resin, where they would dip, like, say, a piece of wire in whatever color, like black or whatever, and they just kind of swirl it through to create the swirls that way. But for the most part, a lot of it has
Right.
to
Okay.
do with different types of screen and cloth.
Got it. Okay. And,
All
and you
right.
say that's used a lot in knife making, knife handles, maybe pistol grips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen
Okay.
it on some pistol grips. Not as many, but I have seen it. Mostly, only thing I've ever really seen it on excessively would be knives. I think I did see a couple of 1911s one time that had Juma grips. It's kind of soft. It's a soft material. I mean, it's awesome to
Ah,
work with because you can literally rough shape a stem in 10 minutes with it. So
oh, is
the
that right?
finished
Okay.
work is kind of
Wow.
is horrible because it. I mean, you're going to sand it 1,500, 2,000 grit to get all the scratches out.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Interesting. All right.
Mm.
So, and then now you put a briar plug in the bottom of each of your bowls, right?
I use either briar or I have a stockpile of whiskey barrel stave. I go to Kime
Ah,
Lumber
okay.
up in Amish country, and I'll buy whiskey barrel stave. But I'll buy a lot of it at a time, quite a few pieces at a time, and I'll use that. The whiskey barrel stave is almost as hard as briar. So the alcohol, depending on what whiskey it is, obviously, the alcohol hardens the oak. So it's almost as hard.
Yeah. Right. Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
Cool.
how do you
Cool.
cut the shape? So I'm holding one up to the camera so people watching on YouTube. How do you cut that shape? Do you hand sand it down, or do you have like a plug cutter that you use?
Shapes as far as
Well, so I mean, they're perfectly round. So when you're looking at the plug at the bottom of the, how do you get them
I use
so
a metal
perfectly
lathe.
round?
I use a metal lathe. So,
All right. Well, there we go.
I use a metal lathe. My chuck runs, it's about 2 thousandths off, which is pretty damn good. For a, less than $2,000 lathe. I just turn everything on a metal lathe. Everything is done on metal lathes. Mostly because I like the precision. So if I want a perfectly round plug, I can't do that on a wood lathe. I can do that on a metal lathe. So that's what I use.
Okay. Excellent. And by the way, this is the first pipe that I got from you. It's got the Army mount. It's got the Waterford green and black stem on it. And this is, so that everybody knows, so we're full disclosure. After the 2022, was it 2022?
Yes, sir.
Columbus Pipe Show, Eric contacted me that Monday after the show and said, Tim says you're a pretty good blender, and I'd like for you to make me some blends. And I said, excellent. Let's trade. And I got a set of these, and Tinker from Tinker's Pipes, Thomas, got one, and I got one. And it started my love affair with your cobs, and it's grown exponentially since. And then you came out and said, oh, look, I made another one with the green and black Waterford swirl. And amazingly enough, it made its way to South Carolina at the time, and now it resides happily here in South Carolina. So those were the first two cobs I got from you. And as we go through, I'll show you more and more of them. So, you have an enormous clientele. I see people posting your cobs all over Instagram and Facebook, and having 1,700 pipes out there, that's kind of a remarkable accomplishment. Especially seeing how you've been at it for 5 years. I mean, that's this is a couple of hundred pipes every year. What keeps you motivated to keep going?
I like money.
All right.
No, I mean that's not truly my motivation, but I like money. I like making money. I also like the idea that in 50 years somebody's grandchild might be smoking that pipe. To me, that's kind of cool.
That.
I mean,
it's no idea how that resonates with me.
Yeah, it's like my dad. We couldn't find any of his pipes. Most likely, he threw them away when he quit smoking. But that's something I would have loved to have had. I like the idea that 50 years from now, when I'm gone, and whoever is gone who bought some crazy bastard that had 10 of my pipes, per se, is gone, their grandson or granddaughter might smoke that pipe. I mean, that really does, that's actually what drives me. I mean, money's awesome, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, a legacy is really what matters to me.
Yeah. And what a wonderful legacy. That's, Tim and I talked last week about that. How many of your pipes have you gotten rid of? Very few. Eventually my son and grandson will get them, and then when my youngest son has kids, and I pass away, then it'll go on to them. And I have my grandfather's pipes. I got those. I think back in 2017, a lawyer sent me a box, said, "Hey, this is for you," and it was all my grandfather's old pipes, and he was. Not a connoisseur of artisan pipes. My grandfather liked Dr. Graybows and Medicos and the smallest, lightest briars he could find. And, I want to leave the kids, something different.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's the story. I mean, my oldest son, he smokes a pipe, and one of the best times I've had was he wanted a what he called a fishing pipe, which basically he was just a we did a carbon fiber shank, but we did it on a one of Dagner's pokers, and I put his
Mm-hmm.
ass to work. I mean, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? Well, you're gonna sand your stem. You're gonna shape your stem. I'll cut it, but you're gonna. And after it took him about 3 hours, and man, this is more work than what I thought. And I said, well, yeah. I said, no, granted, it should have probably taken you 30 minutes, but first time, and I think people get intimidated. But that's one of my best memories down here in the shop, or like Katrina's down here all the time. And back when, she was doing a lot of tampers and whatnot, those were good memories. Or,
Mm-hmm.
When, my youngest, one time he wanted, back years ago, he wanted to make money to buy a bike. So I was like, all right, well, you can make tampers. Anybody can make a tamper. So he made tampers, and he didn't sell very many of them. He did get a little discouraged. I mean, finish work and young kids is usually not two things that go together. But those are good memories to me.
Patient,
Yeah, lack
patience.
thereof. But he made a few, and you know, I'm very memory driven. I had a strong association with memory, different things. So those are the things that matter to me. So, times my kids were here, or, working in the shop or doing something. Those are the things that really matter the most to me, which is
Yeah,
probably
I
another reason why I do this.
yeah, and I feel the same way, Eric. I have, and it's been brief. Wish we could do more of it. My grandson and I have made some things in the shop, and he
Hmm.
took a day with me, and he made a pipe, and he smokes it. It turned out nice,
Yeah.
and we used a precast stem to kind of cut the work down a little bit, but he modified the stem so that it works with the pipe, and that's a nice one,
Yeah.
Jim. I like that.
Yeah, that's Eric's Tavern pipe. I don't think he's made any more of those. I think I got
That's
the
a
only
cool pipe.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
and again, smokes like a champ.
Yeah, but those are great
well, I go
memories.
through, yeah, they are. I mean, because honestly, you're not going to get as many memories as you think you're going to get. And so you
True.
got to make the most of them um,
Yeah.
when you can. So kids get older, they get
Yeah,
busy. I mean, it just is what it is. But
Right.
true.
well,
Someday I hope to teach my son how to take perfectly good stem materials and drill bad holes in it. So that'll be my
You got
legacy
that
to
part
him.
down.
I have that. I can cut curvy holes. I can cut holes that come out the sides. Nothing straight,
believe,
but
Yeah. Yeah.
believe it or not, that happens more than you think.
Yeah.
That does happen.
I've got it down to every time. I can't.
Oh,
I,
It's got-
well,
I,
that's it.
I sent Tim a box of stem materials. Says, please, God, do something with this before I destroy it all.
Yeah, that's a very specific skill set there.
Yeah, not one that I possess. I have other
So,
skills.
so Eric, do you make anything ever other than cobs?
I do make the occasional briar. Um,
Mm-hmm.
typically, those go. My wife and I belong to the Ohio Cigar Mafia, and so one of the things that cigar club supports is the Southeastern Guide Dog Association,
Okay.
which basically what we do is we hold raffles and fundraisers to pair service dogs with service members or family members. Free, completely free of charge. I mean, what Southeastern Guide Dog does is pretty amazing. Um, so every year have multiple raffles that we do. They're huge get-togethers, and there's a couple hundred people there, and we'll do a raffle and an auction. So when I make a briar, it goes towards that. So every year we raffle off or auction off a pipe and tamper set. So that's something specific to that I do. Believe it or not, I've never done a cob. I've always done briars. I did a Mersham this year. Never do it again. Never ever do a Mersham again. But so I have done some briars in the past for sale that I actually sold. But my passion's cobs. I mean, mostly because I like the idea of, like John Keller says, people just think they're just a throwaway. They just, well, you smoke it, you burn it up, you throw it away. Well, a custom cob will last you a lifetime. And, that was my passion. That's where I started. Of course, can't say enough about John Keller. When I started, I drove him nuts asking him questions. He was always very gracious and helpful, very supportive. But, like John, that's my passion. I like the artistry of it. And, at the end of the day, there's as much work in a custom cob as there is in a custom briar, if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
No, some folks, they'll throw on a pre-made stem and chunk a piece of whatever, red oak, white oak, whatever in it, and and call it good. But when you get down to, okay, I'm going to use this crazy material to do this crazy design, and I'm going to make this thing so it'll last a lifetime and possibly 2 lifetimes, that's a different level. That really, I mean, in my opinion, that's a different level. Respect to all the guys that are out there making custom cobs, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of dudes that are doing fantastic work. Burks Ridges, I mean, that dude's knocking out some amazing work. Christian Old Cob Goblin, when he was making them, he made fantastic custom cob. Dimitri, Dr. D's pipes, when he was still making them before he, his passion is importing fossilized mammoth tooth and tusk and all that. And so that's what he does now. He made some awesome pipes. So, respect to anybody that wants to jump in and say, hey, I'm going to try my hand at this.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the art form, and it's just spectacular. And I've showed all 10 of the EMC Custom Cobs that I have while you were talking. It's breathtaking work, and there's not one of them that is the same as any of the others. They're all unique. They're all different. And you and I had a conversation where you told me I don't ever want to make the same pipe twice. And I think that's what makes EMC so unique, is that none of your pipes are alike.
No, I refuse, actually. Well, the 2 pookers that I did for you, the first 2, you wanted them identical, and I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. Because then it's not unique. And if it's not unique, what's the point? You might as well buy a fucking Savinelli. I mean, honestly. And I get, every day, hey, I want this pipe. Well, you can't have it. It's sold. No, I want one just like it. No. I don't do that. What do you mean?
Yep.
I'm the customer, and I can always find 15 more that will appreciate the fact that I want them to have a truly custom, unique pipe. So,
and And when I talk to people about pipes, for me, it's more about the relationship. I know that I can message you or call you,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have a conversation, and that's the difference. I have 31 Savinellis, and not once has anybody from Savinelli called me. And
No.
I have no relationship with them. It's just,
No.
it is what it is. And same with Peterson.
Exactly. And I mean, but that's not their thing. Their thing is mass producing a quality pipe at a reasonable price that, notice I'm trying hard here. Okay, mass producing a pipe at a decent price. But as we all know, the quality's not what it used to be. But that's not their shtick. Their shtick isn't one-on-one connection with people. Their shtick is selling 10,000 units to smoking pipes. The smoking pipes can then sell 10,000 units to 10,000 people that they'll never talk to, because that's retail.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
You nor I would ever want to be in a business like that. Might as well go to work at the mill.
No. Exactly. I mean, I've had shitty jobs, and I don't want to do that. I'm at the stage of my life where I do what I want to do. I make a fair living, and at the end of the day, I can look at this thing that I've made. I can send pictures to the person. If I'm posting it up for a raffle or sale, I can post those pictures up, or I can, if it's commission, I can send pictures to people. And, they're like, that's amazing. That's awesome. That came out better than I imagined it would. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what should drive a custom pipe maker.
Yeah.
Is, wow, that came out better than the picture I had in my head.
Yeah.
Well, I think the testament to the pipes is when you put tobacco in them and you light them and you realize this is better than any production pipe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
For me, I always revel in how well they smoke and how much attention to detail. I've got 10 of them here. There's not one that's drilled off center. All of the air intakes are perfectly centered in the pipe. They just smoke so fantastically. And that's a testament to your artwork. It's artisan, it's craftsman. So,
did you start out there with a metal lathe, or did you start with the wood lathe?
I started out with a raggedy, worn-out old drill press that I converted to a very dangerous lathe. Believe it or not.
Oh, did you?
I mean, literally, it was
nothing more exciting than a shop accident, is there?
If I turn this on its side, it becomes a.
It becomes a lathe. Variable speed lathe. That is correct. The excitement.
And it'll pull your shirt completely off.
Yeah. Well, I had money for lathes, but I didn't know how deep I was going to go into this. And my wife, bless her heart, when I first endeavored to do this, she told me I was fucking crazy. Nobody smokes a pipe. You can't make money doing this. And then I bought my first lathe. Well, how'd you pay for that? PayPal. Did you charge it? No, I used the money that I have in PayPal. Well, how much is in there? I don't know. $1,400-$1,500. So I bought my first lathe. And then she was like, oh, you're making money? I was like, well, yeah. What'd you think I was doing out there in that 6 foot by 8 foot shed in the dead of winter when it's 20 degrees outside, freezing my ass off? I mean, what did you think I was doing out there? What did you think all these all these boxes that I was putting things in were for?
Yep.
But you know. But to be fair, she hadn't seen anybody smoke a pipe in 20 years. And then all of a sudden, you're driving down the road here in town,
Yeah.
and hey, there's a dude out there mowing his grass, smoking a pipe. Hey, there's so and so. I didn't know he smoked a pipe. It's like, oh yeah, there's tens of millions of people who still smoke a pipe. It's actually a thing.
Yeah. Are you seeing the same thing that we're kind of seeing, that more and more younger people, because we're all about the same vintage, that you're seeing more
Yeah.
and more pipe smokers come into the hobby now?
Yeah, I have
The
a lot of
government can't
younger
get to all of
people.
them, can they?
No, I have a lot of people, believe it or not, people that are sub 30 years old follow me every day, and and they're new. I mean, they're new pipe smokers, and I get messaged a lot. Hey man, I just found you, or somebody that I was talking to in a Facebook group mentioned your work, and it's like, so I'm looking at, like, they follow me, so of course I'm looking at the profile, and it's like, this dude's 24 years old. What is he doing? Smoking a pipe. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sub 30-year-olds that smoke a pipe. In fact,
Yeah,
I would
and
say
I'm kind of
right
loving
now
it.
it's probably 60-70% of the people that follow me on social media are younger than 30.
Yeah, isn't that magical?
So
Yeah, at the Las
it is.
Vegas show, I was surprised at the percentage of people there that were young. It's hard for me
Mm-hmm.
to judge, just the age range, but definitely younger than 40. And I would imagine maybe call it
Oh, yeah.
40% of the people that I saw there were in that age range.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you compare that to the Columbus Pipe Show, where the vast majority of people are probably 50 plus.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, there's definitely a difference in and I've heard, like, the Chicago show is largely driven by a younger demographic as well. So it could well be that, well, I think a lot of it is younger people are looking for, I mean, it's a wild time for a young person, and they're looking for like a touchstone to the past a little bit. And let's be honest, pipe smoking is kind of a old school thing. Um, but I think
Yeah,
it
it's a
also creates a
throwback.
touchstone. Yeah, it is. It's a touchstone to the past, maybe to great grandpa who
Right.
smoked a pipe, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people, they talk, well, it's the
Well,
hipsters. The
I
hipsters
think,
are, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think the one of the other elements too is a way to connect. And so, you've got pipe clubs, tobacconists that have pipe and cigar lounges, and it's a way for people to connect around, a common something that you like and that you enjoy together, and you can just relax and have a conversation. It's not social media; it's face to face, and there's a
Yeah,
different and higher quality to that type of connection.
there is. I mean, you could belong to a million pipe groups online, but nothing beats sitting down with somebody and lighting up a pipe. Well, what are you smoking? Well, I'm smoking, whatever, Captain Black. Just throw something out there. Well, what are you smoking? Well, this is a custom blend by a guy named Jim Steffi, um, from Emerson Southern Forged. That kind of thing. Oh, well, I've never heard of that. Well, here, try some. And you build a lot of
Yeah.
connections with people that way. I mean,
Right.
literally,
Absolutely.
I
That
mean,
you touched on something that really resonates with me. I looked at the story of Kramer's, and back in 1939 there was a Sherlock Holmes movie called The Woman in Green, where Sherlock
yes.
Holmes goes into a tobacconist and
Mm-hmm.
asks about a particular cigarette, and she says, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's got Virginia's, Burley's, Latakia, and
Yeah.
Perique." And I thought, man,
Mm-hmm.
you have no idea how that resonates with me. The old time tobacconist and the story of Kramer's, where celebrities could go into Kramer's and get custom blends, and they're still available today. Father Dempsey and
Yeah.
and Cary Grant's blend and Edward G. Robinson, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of magical. Obviously the tobaccos aren't the same because that was 50, 70, 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But the ability to touch that, the ability to come up with something custom, and that's why artisan pipes are so important, and that's why I got into artisan tobaccos, is because we can bring that back. We can create something for you, and man, that's so powerful. And for me, pipe smoking takes me back to another time, and the joy of pipe smoking to me is enjoying a good pipe and having the tobacco unravel for me. Watching the flavors develop, watching how the pipe smokes, and just enjoying that quiet moment in a world that's so attention driven. It's kind of magical to be able to take your mind off of it. So
Oh, yeah.
that's enough of me being
I mean,
pretentious. So,
you know,
but
it's like when, okay, not too long ago, I had a couple ladies actually. They have an anniversary this month, so they messaged me and they wanted, pipes for their husbands for their anniversaries. And, well, my husband's been following you forever and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, both ladies. But it was their way of being able to do something that anybody could buy their spouse K Woody, and there's nothing wrong with the K Woody, but it's a totally different ball game because these ladies are crazy. I mean, they'll go through and they'll look at every picture their husband liked, and then they will literally take pieces and put together a custom pipe. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, that's like you said, it's special. It's like making somebody a custom blend, like you know, like okay, prime example, Jay Furman's blend.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the one that basically sunk the boat for us there because we couldn't,
Yeah.
you couldn't make enough, and it was like I mean, there's no other place other than maybe in very high end, custom firearms where you can do that. You can't go to the Chevy dealer and get a 100% custom truck. You can't go to, Home Depot and get a 100% custom Milwaukee drill. There's very few places where you can do that. Even jewelry's not 100% custom.
Oh, you mean Jared's isn't, each one isn't unique? Huh.
No.
Why, that's false advertising.
Yeah. But I mean,
give her something special that 75,000 other women have.
Exactly. Get her that Pandora bracelet.
Yeah, because nobody has those. No one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I just had a conversation with a guy today that ordered a couple of pipes, and just to be clear, he's being very specific and looking at something that was on my website that was already made and sold, and I want one like that. And I came back around toward the end and said, okay, but I'll do my best to get to make it look like that, but it's not going to be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like a fingerprint.
No.
There's going to be some
Exactly.
differences in it, and I want it to be that way. And he said, exactly. That's what I want. I don't want a duplicate. I can get, if I want a duplicate, I'll go to Savinelli and buy, 3 or 4 of the same pipe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even with
Exactly.
Savinelli, none of them are identical. It's not possible.
No.
But
Right.
you could get,
No.
99% close. But that's too close.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
otherwise
everybody
it's
can
just
go
production.
get a 6. Yeah, everybody can get a 645, but the grain is different. There's variations in the stem color. I mean, that's just, that's inherent when you're working with wood. When you're working with any natural material. So, excellent. Well, Eric, thank you so much for being on. We'd like for you to stay. We do 4 segments. And seeing how you're heavily included in 3 of the 4 segments, you want to hang around with us for a little bit longer?
Sure.
All right.
I
Excellent.
can do
So
that.
the first segment we do is what's new in your collection. Tim, what did you add to your collection this week?
I added a big goose egg. Nothing. I
you
came
all,
back from
you're
the
breaking up.
Las Vegas show and brought with me the I think it's Montezuma's Revenge, or I don't know, the Gilman's Creep or something. I don't know, but I spent the last week with an ice pack on my head. So I didn't even go in the shop this week since I got back on. It's been over a week now.
Very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so you know, if anybody's listening, for our 2s of listeners, it is Monday night. We are recording. We were going to do this last night, but our producer, Ben, couldn't make it.
He says he had to work. He says he had to work.
Yeah, this whole working for a living,
Right.
Exactly. All right. So
How about you,
this
Jim?
week? Have I got some fun stuff? So, everybody that's listened to a couple of the episodes knows that I have a very good relationship with Corey Brown, and I got this stacked billiard, and he made a Fordite pipe stand for it.
Wow.
And I think we lost
I
Eric,
think Eric dropped off.
which is kind of a shame. So he had made 2 of these for a customer to have a choice, and the customer picked one, and I picked the other.
Hold that
And-
up. That Fordite stand.
Oh, the Fordite stand? Yeah. So it's just
That's one enormous
Chunk
piece of Fordite.
yeah, it is. And it fits right in there. Just perfectly.
That stuff is not inexpensive. That's quite
No.
a thing you've got there.
Yeah. And he had made these 2 pipes, and the customer selected the other one, and I took this one. And I do like stacked billiards. If you're a Vapor or Virginia smoker, the tall stacked billiards do smoke those better. That's just my opinion. However, I believe in it. And the first pipe I ever got from Corey was a stacked billiard. So it was, when this came up, it's like, oh, Jim, hey, do you want this? Yes, I do. And then the second pipe, and we're going to talk about, because I've already showed it, Eric has a raffle or 2 every week, and I won this in the raffle. And it is really cool because the little white portion of it actually kind of glows in the dark. If you
Get the hell out.
I smoked it. It does. It's incredibly
kidding.
cool.
That's cool.
And of course we lost Eric. But like I said, I showed all 10 of the pipes that I have from him. I have an 11th one coming, because in my OCD mind we can never have even numbers ever.
Yeah.
No even numbers. And that's just the rule. I did get some, and from Eric, when he sent me the pipe, he goes, "Hey, I found this tin of old Sugar Barrel pipe tobacco,
Yeah.
and I'm sending you the tin with your pipe." And I'm like, "Wow, how cool is that?"
That's nice. Nice shelf decoration.
Yeah, and I'm big in the decoration portion.
Right.
And then that's what's new in my collection this week. So you talked earlier about the gentleman that had ordered some custom pipes. What did he want? So now we're going to move to pipes. Pardon my just kind of
it was kind of interesting
ramblings.
Yeah. So let's see. We've got a billiard that he wants, a couple of Danish eggs, a couple of apple-shaped, sort of quarter-bent, smooth pipes. He's a gun stock, or a Kentucky rifle enthusiast. And so the some of these are going to have to be made out of Uberschon blocks, so that or I'll have to turn plateau blocks on the side and cut them, get some thicker ones, so that he gets a lot of bird's eye and sort of horizontal grain. So he wants to see a lot of burl. So, which is good. That's what I like. I like that really interesting figured grain patterns, and so should be a pretty nice project. Looking forward to it. And I've got for somebody else. I've got a Magnum Dublin that I got to make. That's going to be a fun project. I don't know. Let's see. I got a volcano coming up that has got some partial sandblast, partial smooth on it. That'll be kind of cool. So I got a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know. I think I've got somewhere in the range of 15 commissions that are out in front of me here. So I'm going to be busy for a while.
You've got a full couple of weeks.
Yeah. I got a full plate.
Excellent. Well,
yeah.
And I am so excited because part 2 of the Pipe and Tamper podcast, where you do an interview with Jay and Mike, is coming up. And I'm very excited to hear that because both Jay and Mike have been instrumental in helping me with Emerson Southern Forged. If you see the Emerson Southern Forged logo, that's Mike's design. And if you check out some of the blends in my list, Gemini, Meteora, Furman's Reserve, Furman's Navy, all of these were Jay Furman inspired blends. And, these guys have been so instrumental in helping me. And I'm really excited to hear your conversation with them because that's coming up, I think, in a couple of days. So
yeah, there was one that went up on. I saw it started listening to it this morning. I was getting some car service done, and which seems to be pretty much a mainstay of my life, sitting in a dealership waiting for a car to be worked on. But I listened to it it was part 2 of the Pipe Show podcast, and I got about 15 minutes into it and I was done, so I wrapped it up and moved along. So I don't know if that's the one, but I tend to listen to the rest of it tonight.
Yeah, I listened to it this morning. I got to drive to Colorado Springs, so I had an hour and a half to get to listen to the whole show, and Mike and Jay just do a fantastic job. And I'm so bummed because Mike and Iris decided that we're not going to do any more of that sort of weird, which is kind of a bummer. I enjoy doing podcasts, and I thought that the three of us had great chemistry, just like you and I have great chemistry. But unfortunately, they decided, it's not worth it anymore. And I'm like, wow, we're doing it for twos of listeners, and we're having a blast. And,
I know. Snooty bastard.
Exactly. What are you doing? Why are you hanging it up now?
You're getting hundreds of listeners, and can you send them our way?
Exactly. And we're getting, twos and threes of listeners.
Because we sound sort of weird.
We're exactly.
So,
all right. So let's talk about what's new in tobacco. I didn't have a lot of time to devote this weekend to coming up with new blends because I've got all 55 presses full at the moment, and I actually took tomorrow off so that I can get some orders shipped out. But I did get to perform some alchemy this weekend, and I'm very excited. I came up with honeyed Irish whiskey.
Yeah, okay.
Which So it's Irish whiskey with honey in it, and it is really kind of interesting.
Is that
and
in
unique.
a spritz bottle?
It is. So when I
So it's on your hair?
so when I go to work, I smell like an alcoholic. No, I practice the European method. I don't like to just pour flavorings. Anybody who knows me, I don't like to do a ton of flavorings. But if I'm going to do one, it has to be an alcohol based, and by alcohol based, I mean something that I would actually drink, and then doctor it up. And I really liked honeyed Irish, and I came up with a blend for it called BRB Irish, which is Jay Furman inspired name. It's called Barroom Brawl Irish, it's an interesting blend. I haven't released it, and then came up with honeyed bourbon. So with Nate and Justin, I'm in their football league, and one of the people in the league, Stacy and I'm going to butcher this name, and I'm sorry, Stacy. Mahureen Bespoke Works said, I really like something that had, like a bourbon and honey flavor. And I said, okay, well, I can come up with honeyed bourbon. I can do that. That's easy enough. And then I did honeyed anejo tequila, and I did this in a couple of versions, but the version with Herradura was far superior to the other one that I came up with. So I'm going to work on a blend for that. Oh yeah, Herradura.
Herradura,
excellent.
One of my
favorites. I came up with honeyed rum, and I'm working on a blend for that. And then yesterday I got in my order of blackstrap molasses, and I came up with a couple of things for that. So there's Irish whiskey and molasses, and you can see how dark it is.
Right.
The molasses is blackstrap is just charcoal dark.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work on a blend for that. And then I did rum and molasses. And you can see, extremely dark. And then bourbon and molasses. So I'm going to come up with a single blend. And my thought process is I will put all three of these toppings on it and see which one comes out the best. Maybe they're all three really good. Maybe they're not. And we'll see. And then last but not least, this past week I came up with the Chad Hatton, which is, I made the first version of Chad Hatton, and it had dry vermouth. And I called the gentleman that had requested this, and his name's Jerry. And I said, hey, good news. I did that Manhattan spray on it, and it was not worthy of the jar of doom. So the dry vermouth just made it smell terrible. It was really bad. And I thought, this is going to be a lot better with sweet vermouth. So I'm going to do sweet vermouth on it, and it comes out of the press tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. I was hoping they'd be ready tonight and I could actually birth a blend on air, but that's not going to happen. They're not quite ready yet. So
well, you have a pint of homemade maple syrup coming your way, and you can
and
maybe,
by the way,
maybe try a little bit of that. What's this now?
Okay, so I'm going to do two with your maple syrup. I have some Gentleman Jack, so I'm going to do Maple Jack, and then I'm going to do Mapled Irish Whiskey.
Okay.
And by the way, if you're thinking about working with an Irish whiskey for pipe tobacco, I highly recommend Tullamore Dew. It's not a particularly expensive whiskey, but I will tell you it has incredible flavor, especially when you put it with honey or molasses, and we're going to see how it comes out with maple syrup. And I'm a big fan of Tullamore Dew. So
all right, cool.
I don't like to drink it particularly, but it does very well on pipe tobacco.
Now when Jay called the Irish whiskey, honeyed Irish whiskey, called it Barroom Brawl.
Yeah,
it seems
BRB Irish.
An offensive stereotype. Barroom Brawl.
As someone of Irish heritage, I am not offended in the slightest. It's really not a thing for me. It is what it is. Like what I mentioned 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago, that there's an old saying: the reason God invented whiskey was so the Irish wouldn't take over the world. And if you're in Boston for St. Patty's Day, you realize you're looking around and says, hey, there's nobody here that's Irish, but we're all going to get into a fight because it's Boston. So
Went to the last big Irish party I went to was at a Irish pub, and at the end of the night, the fight broke out, and everybody just sort of like hugged onto one another and fell over. Slowly.
Isn't that the truth? Slowly. And lastly, in pipe tobacco, for those of you that are not NASPC subscribers, the new magazine came out this week. So pipe collectors, the pipe collector from the North American Society of Pipe Collectors, which puts on the Columbus show, which I have a special soft spot in my heart because you brought my blends out for the first time at that show. So
yeah, that's right.
You know, and some great articles in it. And I, as a reader, I really enjoy when the magazine comes out. So excellent. Last but not least, we have Ask Us Anything, and we've got some great questions. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Question for the
Let her
show.
rip.
So this is from at Noah's house, our good friend Noah, who's been a longtime supporter of the show and a longtime listener and a patron of both of us. He asks, what are your favorite accessories for pipe smoking? Tamper, lighter, stand, etc., and why? Do they have a history or a cool story? So, Tim, do you have?
I do, as a matter of fact. I have, and I keep it safe, let's put it that way. Put it in my pocket and never let anything happen to it. And it's my dad's Zippo lighter that he must have had as a kid growing up. I remember the Zippo lighter, and it had. Do you remember the engraver that like it vibrated, and that's what you etch metal with? It has his name on it and his handwriting, and it's all the nickel is rubbed off of it from in and out of his pocket, and it's just down to brass. There's some shiny spots on it, and people hear it a lot. The big complaint of butane lighter, not butane, but lighter fluid lighters, Zippos, is that you can taste the fuel. To me, it reminds me that smell of the fuel and the taste of it. It reminds immediate memory of my dad, and it's kind of like the only thing that I kept of his, and that's the thing right there. Everything else is expendable, but that one there is not.
Yep, out of fuel. Because I was a cigarette smoker and I carried a Zippo forever, I can't use one. It's just my personal hang up.
Yep.
And I had my grandfather's World War II Zippo, and I was working at the lumberyard when I was a much younger man, and a buddy of mine borrowed my cigarettes and my lighter and left them in the break room, and someone pilfered the lighter. And
great.
Yeah, jackasses.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any tampers, stands, anything that resonates with?
I got gobs of that stuff, but none of it has the value that lighter has.
No. All right. Excellent. So, Noah, the first custom tamper I got was from young Tim Beaumont, and what makes it special is it's got 45 caliber. It's deer antler and a 45 caliber shell casing on it, and that was the second pipe I got from Tim. He sent me the tamper with it, and it's a fantastic tamper, and you can see it's well used. It is my Saturday afternoon tamper. So when I go out and sit on the porch on Saturday afternoons and enjoy a pipe, that's the one that I use. And then, Tim, you'll have to remind me, is this zebra wood on this?
No, you know what that is? That's a piece of it's laminated. It's different colors like yellow and green and blue and right. I think Jim, that
No,
was
actually,
no. Maybe it is.
no,
It's
it's
hard
just
to tell.
yeah. I mean, we're talking about high quality equipment here. This is like CGI. Um,
Yeah, no, that is in fact zebra wood. Sorry,
yeah.
it's
And again, it has a 45 shell on it because Tim knows that I like my 1911.
yeah.
And that was the second tamper I got. And then with Eric's 1000th cob, he made a matching tamper for it, and the blue in the center of the stem matches the blue in the center of the tamper, which is very cool. And then Tinker from Thomas's Pipes made me a pecan tamper with, again, it's like you guys know that I care about 45 shells, and it's got a 45 shell on it, which is pretty spectacular. And then
Well, his had the primer still in it.
yeah, it did.
Here, Jim.
Yeah, they all do. All of them have the primer still in it, so they're not quite live.
You're going to want to hold that down on the tobacco and draw real hard.
Yeah. And then Travis and Thomas both went in and got a pipe for me that came with a matching tamper, and it is like a Lord of the Rings type of church warden. So I've got that. And then the first pipe that I got from Eric, Katrina, Eric's wife, made me a matching tamper for it. And, it's got the silver band on it, which matches the silver in the...
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. And then the last tamper I have that has special meaning was from, and you can't see this, but that's okay. It is the shape of a rook from Chess Piece, and it's from Anthony at Castle Briars.
Oh, that is cool.
And when I met with... Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. Now, my everyday carry, I made a leather pouch. I carry a Zippo, and Mad Max Forge made me a pipe nail.
Yeah.
And I carry that pipe nail with me every day. As you can see, that there's plenty of tobacco residue and cleaning stuff on it. But that's what we have.
Yeah, good
All right.
stuff.
Yeah. So Tom reached out to me via Instagram and said, Jim, I'm 71 years old. I really don't do social media. Can I just email you? Yeah, go ahead, Tom. And his questions are, I was listening to Jeremy Reeves' discussion on YouTube, and I think it was on Black Cavendish. He noted that heat, steam, and pressure are techniques that can be used in a blend. What are your thoughts? And I said, okay, well, I'll let Tim put any thoughts in it, and I'll talk about my thoughts on it.
Well, I think I don't know about heat or steam, but I know that the pressure, especially with Virginias, or anything pressed with it, makes a big difference. I think in the flavor, sort of the melding of the flavors of the tobaccos. And so, of the three, I would think the pressure component of that would be the thing that would get my vote. I don't know about the heat and steam part. You'd be better equipped to answer that.
All right. Well, I'll give a quick answer on it. Heat and steam help meld the flavors. In my opinion, it's better to make. So if you're going to make Cavendish, steaming it is the way to go. And if you're going to make like a stoved red Virginia, heat is the way to go. That's what gives it their unique flavors and their unique characteristics. Most of the major houses steam their blends before they press them, so they get a nice tight flake out of it, particularly Mac Baren. And if you go to YouTube and you go to the Mac Baren channel, they have a video of them making their flakes, and you can see the steam rolling off those things as they're running through the press. So yeah, we can do that. He asked then, can you describe me the difference and how they potentially impact taste? And Tim is 100% correct that pressure helps meld the flavors. And And so that you know, I answered these questions for Tom, but I asked him if it was okay if I read them on air because I thought they were excellent questions.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. And do I have a video on this? No, I don't. In fact, the reason I started pressing blends, when I first started off, it was just ribbon cut. And Jay Furman called and said, you really need to start pressing your blends. And I didn't have a way to press them. So, okay, well, I'll work on that, you know, and I really didn't want to get a big industrial press. You know, Jeremy Reeves and Cornell and Deal have a couple of videos where they show that their screw down press that they use to make their flake and, you know, their broken flake and some of the other blends that they make. And I thought, well, that's really not convenient in my 6x10 office for
Right.
making tobacco, so I'm gonna have to come up with something different, and that's why I use the pasta presses. And hold on, I use these guys, and they work great. And every single one of them, I have made a stainless steel cap that goes in the bottom. So because the bottom, you know, obviously a pasta press, you really don't want to press your tobacco through that. And so I made these stainless steel caps that go in the bottom, and they work fantastic, you know. And
I was
and
wondering
I've got Popeye forearms.
what you did. Yeah, I was wondering what you were doing with those ends because I was thinking maybe like parchment paper or something like that, but you would still not get enough resistance where the holes are. So that little insert works pretty good, I bet.
It does. I don't like. So the first time I used one, I used foil. You know, just put a couple of, you know, I cut the foil to fit the bottom of it and screwed it in. And what I found is that it's really cool if you like to smoke foil because little pieces of it will come off and you're picking them out of the bottom of the puck and it can. And I didn't like parchment paper because, you know, when you leave it in the press for 3 or 4 days, it actually absorbs some of the wax and it sticks a little bit. And I really didn't. I didn't like that, and I thought, okay, what do I do? Well, I'm a metal worker, so you know,
keep it clean.
Order some stainless steel. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, Jeremy suggested that small amounts of, say, Cyprian Latakia or Black Cavendish can make a huge difference in a blend. I assume you believe this as well. I sure do. And both Tim and I will tell you that you can never have too much Latakia in a blend.
That's where I'm coming from, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I know taste buds are different, but there are so many English blends, for instance. As a buyer, it would be lovely to have some way to distinguish all the different English blends. Tim, do you want to offer some guidance to Tom here?
Why don't you take this one? Because let's see, how would I, to distinguish English blends? You know, I guess it kind of goes to the point that Lamb Chop Piper, I've heard him make before many times, is that you find what you like and build your cellar deep, not wide. So if you've got, you know, smoke through English blends, find the ones you like, and then build those. And and I think you're going to get to know which ones you have and which ones you're smoking. I don't know. I think it's about the only way I can answer that.
I agree with that completely. So how I got to English blends was that the young lady, and I say young lady because I'm being polite, she was probably older than me, at the Palm Springs Tinderbox said, well, why don't you try an English blend? And she handed me Westminster. And I really liked Westminster from GLP's. In fact, it's one of my top 10 blends. I absolutely love it. But what I found out is that, you know, through my blending journey, when you look at the description of the blend, they have to list the ingredients in order from the one that has the highest percentage to the lowest percentage. So once you find one that you really like, you can start to pattern it. You know, you can say, okay, the first ingredient is Latakia, the second ingredient is Red Virginia, the third ingredient is Orientals. Okay, great. Once you find one that you really like, and I make a couple of English blends where Latakia is not the predominant blender in it. To be an English blend, Latakia it has to be an ingredient. Virginia has to be an ingredient. And I think that a traditional English blend should have Orientals in it as well. And I use a variety of Orientals. So that's what I'll tell you on that. And, find one that you like and then start to look at the ingredient list and then find more that are similar to that and go from there. English and Balkans, he made in a comment in his reply to me when I answered his questions. He says, is there a big difference? And I said, well, it's just percentage of Latakia. Typically, Balkans lead with Latakia. However, what goes with it, can make all the difference in the world. So Mike from Pipe and Tamper called me up and said, I want you to make this blend for me. It's got 3 ingredients. It's Latakia and Samson or Basma and Krumavgrad. And he gave me the math to it, and I made it, and it was a flawless blend. And it is a heavy Latakia forward blend. But the Orientals come shining through because of the floral incense note of them. It's an extremely well-balanced blend. Don't be fooled, that Latakia is this overpowering, heavy nicotine, because Latakia has very little nicotine in it, but it does have a distinct flavor to it. And it's got that campfire or campfire, either way, campfire.
American Flyer.
Yeah, exactly. A good Kevin Costner movie, but let's not bring that up now. But there are some subtle, distinct differences between Latakia and the difference between Balkan and English is the percentage of Latakia. According to what I've read and what I've studied, a Balkan blend has to have a minimum of 35% Latakia. So go with it from there. And there you go. So we've gone through all 4 categories. By the way, I am drinking in honor of you meeting Anthony for the first time, Law's 4-grain bourbon this evening. And I have a dad joke that James Law, surprisingly enough, sent to me in the form of a meme. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go.
If a vegetarian and a vegan stand on the edge of the cliff and jump off, who wins?
We all do.
Society. It's the correct answer. Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
And that was an excellent joke, James. So if you're watching to the end of the show, and we've been on for a little bit tonight, that was excellent, and thank you so much for sending it to me because I was cracking up. So he sent it to me. It was a video clip from a young, and when I say young man, he was probably 8, 9 years old, and he did the joke for Australian TV. And the announcers, the hosts of the show were just dying. And I thought, that's pretty cool.
It's like, what do you call 5 dead vegans at the bottom of a swimming pool? A good start.
I'm surprised that they would be at the bottom. I just don't think there's enough weight to get them there. I mean, somebody had to strap some stuff to them to get them to the bottom of the pool.
Sticks float. What do you 5 dead ones crowded in the skimmer. That'd be more like it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're here at the end of the show, we still don't like vegans or vegetarians because we think there's something mentally imbalanced about you. And bring it. If you want to talk to us about the virtues of veganism, you know where to find me. I have no sympathy. None.
Oh, God. I was just thinking of those couple of jokes that we told the other night. I think I'm going to save those.
I think so. Oh, yeah. I had tofu and some Brussels sprouts.
Right.
And some non-dairy cheese. Oh, God, kill me. No,
Jeez.
You didn't eat that. It's called yard clippings. Stop it.
It's like, my grandkids had the little toy kitchen with the plastic food, You know, the plastic slice of cheese. That's what that stuff's like. You know,
No.
Jeez. like the turkey
And-
on Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
You know,
No. And vegans should be happy that I'm alive because I'm saving your food from being eaten by my food. You see all those cows eating those lawn clippings? Yeah. I'm stopping that. I'm personally responsible for
I'm
that.
gonna stop that right this minute.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We're going to have ribs. We're going to have some steaks. We're good.
Well, not only that, you know, you're reducing that cow's carbon footprint when you consume it. He's not farting anymore. I don't fart as much as a cow does. Well, maybe I do. But
My wife will argue with you because she thinks that I can break wind like a champ. You know, I kind of miss this because I've been drinking, and that's okay. But the part of it is there are stands that matter to you. So if you look over, and I'm going to tip my camera over, there are two stands. One is made by Richard at EP Pipes, and the one that's right over my shoulder now was made by Mr. Beaumont out of Black Walnut. And those obviously have top shelf designation because they mean something very important to me. You know, Tim made the one, said, "Hey, I've got this pipe stand that I don't use. Do you want it?" Yes, I do. And in fact, I'll bring it out next time. I have my grandfather's old pipe stand that came in the box of pipes as well.
all right.
Yep. You know, it's one of those old, I think the brand name is Decatur, you know, a Decatur pipe stand. And, you know, he threw his pipes in it and, you know, so I'll bring that out for the next trip.
Cool.
Yeah. So we've been on for, you know, damn near an hour.
Oh my
and
gosh, an hour and a half.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a blast. It was great to have Eric on. Next week on the show, we're going to have Mitchell from MBSD. We're going to give away a Savinelli. It's already on the way to me. A Savinelli 626 Christmas 2023 pipe. You got to send us your dad jokes. The week after that, I believe it's Eric from the San Diego Pipe Club. Is that correct?
Got to set that up yet. That's the idea, though. Yep.
Okay. And then the week after
confirm
that,
that
so in
next
3
week.
weeks, we'll have Terry Brewster, our mutual friend and patron of both of us, on. We had an Instagram call with him on Saturday. He goes, you know, I never get to be on these shows. Well, be careful what you wish for, Terry,
I
because
know,
here we
right?
are.
Say no more, my man.
We will hook you up.
You know, and while we're on the topic of next week's, what I'd like to do, you know, the newsletter is going to be coming out here pretty soon. The Bears Den newsletter that you and I put out. We just awarded the pipe giveaway, and that went to Mr. Louis Morrell. Louis Morrell. So if you're listening to this, I sent you an email. Please email me back with your address so I can send you your pipe. And that's the sandblasted billiard that I showed on the last podcast. And then for the end of year newsletter, I want to try something a little different. Folks that are listening to this, and if you're a subscriber to the website, www.pbhbp.com. Go on there and subscribe. You'll get the newsletter, and then at the end of December, 1st of January, you'll be awarded a new pipe. You're going to get this, along with it, this dandy tray by, it's Brad Gant. He's BG Woodwork. BG Woodwork.
Oh,
yeah,
Bradley
he makes some great stands.
Incredible
There's
stuff.
This nice little drying tray here, and a pipe that I'll make. But I want to hear from you folks. What kind of pipe? What shape? What adornment? Should it be bamboo? Should it be a bent pipe? A straight pipe? an ants, olive. You tell me what you want me to make, and that's the pipe that I'll make for the giveaway. And the drawing will come from the people, just the pool of people that offered suggestions for the pipe they want me to make. So if it's just one person gives me a suggestion, that person will win it. If there's 20, then we'll draw from 20. Okay, so if you want to do that, email me. We'll put the email in the show notes below in the comment section, and just click on that and go to my email and tell me what you'd like to see in that pipe, and I'll make it. Maybe you'll win it.
Well, you know what? Tell you what. Yeah, if you enter the contest, I'll do the same thing. You pick a blend, you tell me what you like, and it'll come with Tim's pipe. So,
wow.
You like vapors, you like English blends, you like Balkans, you like Burley blends. You send Tim, I want you to make this pipe, and I want this blend for it. We'll make that happen. In fact, I'll even go you one better. If it's not something on my blend list, I'll make something for you. How about that?
Look at that. Can't beat that.
And by the way, Brian David, who won our first giveaway from MBST Pipes, received his pipe today, at least according to USPS. Got a bunch of swag on it, got a couple of coasters, a set of 4, the warning sticker, MBSD stickers, Pipe and Tobacco Talk sticker, Emerson Southern Forged sticker. He got the full, and plus 2 surprise blends that came with it. So
wow,
thank you so much, Brian David, for being so generous, and all the listeners that that participated in the Camp Southern Ground giveaway. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it.
Right, and that was $540 that went to Camp Southern Ground to help vets. So feel good about that, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that's a great note. Isn't it? I'm always amazed at the generosity of the pipe community. And, one of the things that's always intrigued me is people say, I haven't tried this. And the next thing you know, 2 people have sent them that blend. And it's like, wow, I tried it and it's fantastic. The generosity and the warmth of the pipe community, there's just there's no place on earth like it.
Can't beat it. No, it's great.
No. All right. Man, we've covered a lot of ground today, and we've been on for damn near 2 hours.
I know. We're going to lose our 4 listeners.
What do you want to do for... Well,
In fact, we've already lost.
I'll download it twice to make up for it.
They're like, boy, that last episode, I got some of the best sleep I've ever had.
Man, it was narcolepsy-inducing. I could barely feel my legs.
It was great. I have never had my ass fall asleep.
Both arms, my ass, both feet.
Even my tongue is numb.
I was damn near comatose. But a huge thank you to Eric from EMC Custom Cobs.
Yes, Eric, thank you.
Just fantastic to have you on, to get to hear your thoughts about making pipes and why they're so important. And if you don't have an EMC Custom Cobs, I highly recommend that you get one, because they're fantastic smokers. And it's not me blowing smoke. I have 10 of them with an 11th one coming. I just absolutely love what Eric does with his cobs, and I have yet to have, so I have 10. None of them are the same. They're all different, but they all have one common trait, and they smoke like champs. They're just an amazing smoke.
Yeah.
So
for one, I don't own a cob at all. And one of the first things I'm going to do when we're done here is put an order in for a couple with Eric. The ones that you were showing me on there, I got to have a couple of cobs.
Here's what's amazing about them. And this is not me blowing smoke. There's probably not a drier smoke that you'll have. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple of pipes that when I smoke them, they're wet at the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah.
It's inherent in briar, but in cobs, they're incredibly dry. And it's one of the few pipes, styles of pipes that I have that, you smoke a bowl and you think, you know what, I'd like another one. You can go right back to that cob and not have a problem smoking a bowl back to back. It just,
Yeah.
and he talked a little bit about John from JWK, and I don't have any pipes from him, but I've been following on him Instagram forever, and he does some incredible work. Thomas has a Dr. D cob pipe. I've just stuck with Eric because I just don't think cobs get better than Eric's.
Yeah. Well, when you find the right thing, you stick with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to how you build a relationship with a pipe maker. So I know all of you are very curious of what's going to come up in the what's new. There's 2 new pipes from Tim coming my way, plus a jar of maple syrup, of actual maple syrup. That's going to go into some blending ingredients, and it's the relationship that you build. Find a pipe maker that you like and establish a relationship with them. That's
right.
You're listening to this podcast because that's what happened with Tim and I. I saw some pipes that I liked. I reached out to Tim, and the next thing you know, here we are doing a podcast.
The connections and friendships that you make, unlikely.
Oh yeah.
But they turn out to be great.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
I sat in Vegas with Terry Brewster, and we sat and talked like we were high school buddies. I've known Terry for maybe a year, and just by direct message, and here we are.
Yeah, and the 3 of us got on a call, and it was 30 minutes of hilarity. Which is kind of a reoccurring theme with you and I, just us cracking jokes. But, Terry inspired, I made a blend for Terry called T60, which was for Terry's 60th birthday. And then he called me up and said, I really want this. And Savannah is a blend inspired by Terry. And we're going to have Terry on in 2 weeks. And I can't wait to talk to him because, here's a guy, when you talk about someone that believes in artisan pipes, have you seen Terry's collection? It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, and I know he's got a couple of years because
he does.
He made one for him, and I thought, Tim, you really need to make that one for me too.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
That turquoise.
The turquoise. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, one of these days we're going to have to go through our pipe collections and just kind of show off our collections. Because our 2s of listeners will absolutely love that. But
I'm so impressed. All 5 of them.
Exactly. But that's why I'm in the pipe community, is because the artisan pipe makers. And this is not being braggadocious in any way, but I have more of Tim's pipes probably than anyone. The 2 that are coming, I think, will make 16 and 17.
Is that right? Wow, jeez.
Yeah, and when you look at some of the artisan pipe makers that are out there, and some of the work that they do, and you say, okay, well, but Jim, I can get a Peterson, or I can get a K Woody, or I can get a Dr. Grabo, for $50. Yeah, you can, but what you won't get is the relationship.
Yeah.
I bought Kevin Foster's first pipe that he offered on Instagram. I was his first Instagram sale. You and I met through, and as I look through my collection, Aiden at H Pipes in the UK, and we've talked ad nauseum about LCS Briars, because that's how, you and I both got into the artisan pipe community. I was watching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm
watching Simon. Yeah. He's. His was the first artisan pipe I ever owned.
Yeah, and I've got 13 of Simon's pipes. And I absolutely love the work that he does. I've got 7 of Jack Ryan pipes. It's a relationship that you have, and I feel terrible because I moved out here to Colorado, which is in just the worst time zone for talking to anybody in the UK because we're 8 hours behind them.
Yeah.
So when Simon does his live now, so like Simon, I'm not getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch you make a pipe. No,
Right.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I won't be up at 3, but you're usually done by then.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the joy of the pipe community. So,
Yep.
excellent. This wraps up episode 11. Thank you so much for joining us for what is an extended edition. Thank you to Eric Mills from EMC Custom Cobs for joining us. Tim, any final words or thoughts?
No, I think we've done quite enough for today. Looking forward to next week with Mitchell.
Indeed. All right, everyone, have a great night. Thank you so much. We will see you in a week.
Good night, everybody.